Rants and Reels. Today we are going to take a look at Disney's new it's a live action, remake of Dumbo. So I will be back in just a moment and I tell you all about it.
Fly, little one.
Let's talk about Dumbo. This one's going to be hard to talk about, really. The film itself would kind of fall under the just disaster, I guess, is a good way to kind of sum it up. I'm not sure if I could say that I hate it, but I can definitely tell you I don't love it. And I can definitely say it's not a high quality film. Well, okay. I guess that depends on how we define high quality. It was well filmed. The cinematography was great. The animal effects, the creature effects, which I guess was kind of a combination. So it's kind of they're using kind of this new combination of a live action puppetry, so kind of like motion capture puppetry. So that aspect is pretty cool. I mean, from the experimentation viewpoint of film, there was some interesting stuff that they did. The biggest problem with the film is the fact that the story never managed to come together. I believe the screenwriter, Ehren Kruger. I'm gonna go ahead and just heap a bunch of blame right at his feet, because he loaded down his script with so many unnecessary subplots and weird may not be the right word, but unnecessary character arcs, and too many unnecessary characters for this story, that everything just got kind of lost. It took so much to get from a point A to a point B that you didn't really have time for anything to develop. It just jumped from point to point without any real exposition. Exposition happened in transition, which can work, is a technique that can work provided the exposition is sufficient and doesn't just boil down to, well, because. You know, why is this guy a dick? Well, he's just a dick. Okay. So we don't always need to know why somebody's being a dick, but we do need some kind of something to provide motivation for actions. You know, yeah, you can have just a bad person. You can have somebody who is just a terrible person, a terrible character, and that informs some of their behaviors, but it does not inform their motivations to take those actions. It's a difficult thing to do, and it becomes even more difficult as you layer more and more onto a story. Now, you're working with a story that is already a complete story. It's already a complete narrative. So all you have to do is make a few tweaks and modifications to, you know, bring it up to a modern standard, really. But even that didn't necessarily have to happen, because this was set in, you know, just post-Depression, post-World War II. Even though that's not very well defined, that's clearly where things are set. Sort of clearly, because there are some things that don't make chronological sense, but that's okay. You can kind of work with that. But the cohesiveness of these stories and subplots and different character arcs never went anywhere, and it's kind of sad. I honestly don't think a lot of this is. I mean, it's, I guess, Tim Burton's fault this didn't really work, but I didn't really get the impression that he cared from the final product. So it was either that he was unable to make the film he wanted, or the film he wanted to make didn't matter to him in the end. And I don't know which one it is, and I hate to say, you know, oh, he was lazy, didn't care, or just made some very bad decisions. But I also don't want to say, oh, it's not your fault. Somebody else came in and monkeyed with your film, or they forced you to make too many cuts when editing the film, cut things down. So maybe our missing pieces are on the cutting room floor. Maybe. We might not ever know. What we do know is there's a series of scenes and moments in the film which do work, and they work well. And there are some characters and bits of plot and story that fit and make sense, but they're cast away, I guess, for spectacle. And it's a little sad, because Dumbo is a classic story, and it is a classic and important animated film. Regardless of your personal feelings for that film, it is an important film. But this bears very little resemblance to that, and I couldn't even in good conscience call it a tribute or an homage to that film, because there was so much about it that they stripped away. They really stripped away a lot of the a lot of the subtext on bigotry or bullying, the subtext of the being an outcast and believing in yourself to achieve something. We didn't really get there. They tried to shoehorn it in, and it fits into the overarching story just by nature of it being the Dumbo story. It fits in there, but it bears little resemblance. Very little resemblance to what it was. So, it's a shadow of what it could have been. And this really could have been a very unique, very beautiful film. I can see the underlying potential in what really could have been something great, but I think it needed a little more cutting, which is sad to say because I think it was already cut too much. But I think the wrong pieces were cut. There were some unnecessary characters, unnecessary deviations. So there definitely. Yeah, I don't want to just crap all over this movie. But at the same time, I kind of want to crap all over this movie because twice, you bring Michael Buffer out into a Dumbo movie and you make him say, "Let's get ready to Dumbo." I'm sorry, but you lost me. Give me whose idea was that? Because it's a terrible idea. It didn't work, it wasn't funny, it wasn't clever, it wasn't amusing. It was just ridiculous and stupid. Give me a break. This really just felt like a series of contractual obligations on film. And I don't want to be angry about it. I don't want to be mad about it. Because I don't feel like it deserves... It doesn't deserve to be hated. I feel bad for it. Poor little movie. What did the people do to you? So, not every experiment works, and that's, largely what these live-action remakes from Disney are. They're doing it to make money. Yeah, they're doing it to retain intellectual property rights, but they're also using it as a vehicle for, some experimentation. Let's figure out how to make new movies, and let's give people a chance to try something neat. And I think that's kind of what they did here, but not every experiment works. Unfortunately, some of them just wind up being kind of disasters. And I feel bad for the actors because as hard as they tried, there aren't really good performances in this movie. And I don't think I can blame the actors because Colin Farrell, Michael Keaton, Danny DeVito, Eva Green, these are good actors. They can handle themselves with a mediocre script. But this was, sub-mediocre script, and I don't think the direction was fully on board with the vision of what... It was either a competing vision of what it could be, trying to do something new and different, while retaining what it was. And I don't think those ideas went together. They were just forced together. Now kiss. And they didn't want to kiss. Because they don't get along. So, don't go see Dumbo. Sad to say, doesn't work. It's not a good time. It's not enjoyable. It feels overly long, and just like this review feels overly long, but I keep thinking of new things to say about a film that, by all rights, should have just been an easy, ground rule triple. It should have been an easy run. But they missed. It's a missed opportunity. So, I guess, like, 2 out of 5. If I had to give this, an out of 5 rating, or, 4 out of 10, just below middle of the road, average, mediocre, because there are some parts that are okay. Alright, that's all I've really got to say right now about Dumbo. I'm sorry, and thank you for watching. Have a good night, everybody.